Hi, sunshines. So here we have a problem. We have a right triangle and we know the measure of one angle, we know the length of one side, and we want to find all of the other pieces. So we want to find the measure of angle Z and side O and side E. So this is our angle that we're dealing with. So we can consider our sides with respect to that angle. So this is the opposite. This is the hypotenuse. And this is the adjacent. So we have opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So I always say when you're doing trig problems that you only want to deal with two of those at a time. There isn't a trig function to use all three sides. This is really just three separate problems. One problem to find O, one problem to find E, and one problem to find Z. So to find, let's start with O. That means we're not dealing with the hypotenuse right now. We're just looking at, we want the side that we have a length for. So we're looking at the 3 and the O. So we have opposite and adjacent. So that's going to be tangent. So tangent of the angle equals opposite over adjacent. So I made it look a little fancy here so that we can see that it's a letter and not the number 0, because that would really kind of mess our calculations up just a little bit. So we want to get O by itself. Obviously, O is a terrible variable to use. We don't generally use it, but I was having fun setting it up so that it has my daughter's name in it. Cabin fever's getting to me, kids. So 3 times the tangent of 37 equals O, which is going to be about 4. So now we're done with that. You could proceed to use that 4, but because it's a rounded off value, ideally you don't want to calculate other answers based on it unless you have to. And you really don't have to. You could use the 37 and the 3 to find the hypotenuse. So now we're going to ignore this piece and we're going to focus on these pieces. So adjacent and hypotenuse means I'm dealing with cosine. So the cosine of 37 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So 3 over E, which is another terrible value. E is another terrible variable to use because it's a constant in algebra. But again, with spelling my daughter's name, I'm misbehaving here. So now I want to get E by itself. This time I have my variable in the denominator, so I have to solve it a little bit differently. This time we have to cross multiply. So we're going to put this over 1. So we have E times, let's write that a little better, E times cosine of 37 equals 3. And then I want to get E by itself, so I'm going to divide back. So that I have E equals 3 over the cosine of 37, which is about 5. Now, you could use inverse trig to solve for the last angle, or you can just use your triangle addition. Angle, the 37-degree angle plus the 90-degree angle plus angle Z equals 180. So then there's two ways to solve. You can either subtract 37, then subtract 90, or you can add these together, which is 127. So we subtract 127 from both sides, and you get Z equals 53. Degrees. So there are our answers. Now we have solved the rest of the triangle using one angle, two angles, the right angle and the 37-degree angle, and the one side length.